Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and arrive at episode number 392. Remember to always make your incompetence sound like an achievement. I'm Keith.
We've been doing that for 7 years. I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
Achieving.
We are achieving great things, aren't we? Did you guys have a good week?
I did.
I did have a good week.
It was a long week because, well, between recordings anyway.
Yeah.
We had elections. The reason we're recording late tonight is because we have a primary election in Kansas on Tuesday. Well, we did yesterday. And I had to work a lot this week, so I worked a lot last week too. But anyway, so apologies for this one going out late. It may even hit the feeds later because now I'm preparing for a garage sale this weekend. So hopefully I can find a little time in between.
Mel was at a conference in Cincinnati and got bumped from her flight, and I had to go pick her up Sunday night, which is when we normally record, and then that bumped into Glenn's work time.
Right,
so
right.
Keith is the only blameless one in this in this lateness. But,
Did I tell you guys I finished Cloak and Dagger?
no.
So good. And the finale, I thought, for the series, the season finale, I thought was very satisfying. I felt like that series kind of found its feet early and then kind of swayed a bit, but then really took off after, I don't know, probably about the 5th episode. And I think it found its, if you guys haven't watched it yet, it's totally worth watching, even though it's on freeform, even though it's, maybe aimed at a slightly younger audience than us. It's really, really well done. A lot of fun.
We watched Pacific Rim Uprising. It was okay. It wasn't nearly as good as its predecessor. And
What'd you think when you got to the... Did you see the moment where it was like, this kind of sucks, this kind of... Oh, all right, this isn't too bad.
Yeah, it was kind of... It's robots fighting each other for far too long. And then it kind of gets a little interesting, but goes in a kind of a weird direction. If they ever do... They set it up for a third one. If they ever made one, I'd watch it. I don't know if I'd rush out to the theater to see it. Of course, I didn't rush out to see this one either, so... Then we also watched A Wrinkle in Time, which is trippy. It's probably one of the trippiest Disney movies I've ever seen. I don't remember the book very well, so I can't be too disappointed by it. In fact, I barely remember the book at all. So it didn't necessarily make me want to go pick the book back up, though. So, giant Oprah and Reese Witherspoon that turns into a leaf creature. There is a nice Hamilton reference in it, though.
Oh, yeah?
Which I know is not in the book.
Likely not. Sean, what'd you do?
We went and saw The Spy Who Dumped Me, which is pretty terrible.
But it's Mila Kunis.
Yeah, and I love...
Kirsten...
Kate McKinnon.
Kirsten, yes.
And it's strange because it veers wildly between that really over-the-top goofy comedy and a legit action film. Like, there are some stunts in this movie that should have been in Mission Impossible. They're just that impressive. But then they go and make goofy movie joke again, and it's like, you can be an action movie with some comedy, or you can be a comedy with some action, but you can't do what you guys are doing, because the tonal shifts are just, and then they would get into a gunfight, and people would die like really horrible, horrific deaths that were not funny. And it's like, how I feel about this, so... And I don't know if we talked about Mission Impossible 6 last time or not.
I don't think so.
Oh my God, it's so good. I've said it before, I'm continually amazed by the Mission Impossible series because it seems like it's the only franchise I'm aware of where it seems like every successive film is better than the one before. And this one's no exception. It is just incredible.
I also watched, just remembered, I watched Glow. Actually mainlined it. Last week I started watching it. It's the...
Well, it must be good.
Yeah, it's the one on Netflix. It's about the... It's
Women
Glow,
wrestlers,
yeah,
right?
Glow... wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yeah, it stands for Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It's only about 10 episodes a season. Was it even 10? Yeah, it was 10 episodes a season. It was really good, guys. I was shocked. It didn't seem like something I'd like, but I do.
I'll have to give it a shot.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, don't forget you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player FM, If you're listening to us through the website, you can continue to do that. And please leave a review on any of these number of subscription services. We sure would appreciate it. Should we move on to some news?
Let's. So, Series 11 has wrapped. Yay! It's official. They're done filming. That's our first bit of news.
Yay!
That just means we're that much closer to the premiere.
We usually let you tell us the news, and then we react. And I'm like, yay! Well, that's my reaction.
There's been so little coming out about Series 11 that just the fact that they finished
that's news.
Is morsels. Some really interesting news. There's been an update in the BBC court case.
Oh, yeah?
So...
It was Stephen Moffat who leaked it?
Wouldn't that be funny?
We tracked it back to stephen.moffat@troll.com.
So, of course, we discussed last time that BBC asked California court to force the online platform Tapatalk to produce information. So, they recently filed a request in Washington State, which apparently is asking Microsoft to disclose details now. It appears that the clip was stored on OneDrive and shared that way. Not a torrent site.
Yeah, isn't that like a...
You can pay a subscription.
It's like Dropbox or Drive.
Yeah, it's Microsoft's Dropbox.
Microsoft's cloud-based system.
So they're trying to get the information from Microsoft now of who uploaded this clip.
Moffat!
I think it's interesting that it's not, some nefarious dark web website, that it's, everyday OneDrive.
Oh, see, I disagree. Well, I'm on the opposite side. I'm not surprised by that at all. I mean, that's what people use all the time. People feel like they're
really
protected
really,
behind
if
those
it's going to be something
services.
like that, I figured it'd be Google Drive or Dropbox.
Yeah, but people think they're protected.
People actually use OneDrive?
People think they're protected behind those cloud services too. And it's...
Doesn't that just sound more and more likely, though, that it's an internal issue? That it's, once again, that it's an accidental leak and not necessarily a nefarious somebody out to spoil it? You don't think so?
No, because many people use cloud storage services now. I don't see that as...
I'm more inclined to believe it's just BBC being oops. They're going to go through this whole rigmarole and chase their tail is what I think is going to happen.
Or it was I'm going to send this to a friend of mine because he's a big Who fan, so I'm going to put it in OneDrive, and that friend shared it out.
Yeah, I suppose that could be, yeah.
So in a way they would be chasing their tail, but then there'd still be the person who actually put it out there who wasn't with the BBC.
Well, that's the other thing is it illegal to upload it to OneDrive?
No, it's the sharing it.
Yeah, so, I mean, you could probably find out who put it on OneDrive, but that person could probably say, well, yeah, we were prepping this clip, and I put it, on a safe cloud service so that I could work on it later or could move it somewhere else later, I don't know. It just seems like it's going to be a wild goose chase, even if they do figure out who uploaded that clip, so... Weird.
We'll continue to watch.
Yeah. Actually, I've gotten to the point where I don't even care anymore.
I'm curious now.
I think that's an interesting development. Something else, the Doctor Who Appreciation Society has won permission to honor William Hartnell with a Blue Heritage plaque, which will be placed at Ealing Studios in West London.
That's cool.
I think that's really cool. Which that was, of course, where they first filmed the first episode. This article does not say when they're going to do it, but it's going to be upcoming.
Very neat.
And then our last bit of news comes from our good old friends over at Big Finish, who always has something for us. They have announced that Tom Baker's Fourth Doctor Adventures will continue until at least 2021.
Ooh.
And the next box set they've announced is a return for Series 9 is a return to E-Space.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to have Romana as played by Lala Ward, Adric, and John Levine as K9.
John Levine is
Not
K9?
John Levine. I said that wrong.
John
John
Leeson.
Leeson.
Okay, thank you.
As soon as I said it, I knew that was wrong.
I just saw a picture posted with the four of those guys, and I assumed that must have accompanied this news. And then you said Levine, and what? Okay.
Leeson.
Leeson, yes.
Yes.
You know, K9.
K9. So it's going to be Volume 1 and Volume 2. One coming out in January, one coming out in February. Writers include Mark Platt, Jonathan Morris, Alan Barnes, and Andrew Smith.
Very cool.
So 4 stories in Series 9. We gotta need to get cracking on 4th Doctor so we can get up to this stuff.
Well, you know, there was so much of the live action. Took us a while to get to Traken.
That's true. Series 10 will have him reunited with Leela in 4 double-length audio adventures.
Cool.
That's it for news.
Any excuse for more Tom.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll move on to feedback.
This week's feedback, we have Holly.
Holly writes, "Hey guys, I suppose I should include the Daleks Master Plan 6 through 8. Hey guys, this section was good. That's why I should include that.
I'm glad you backed up for that.
Well, 6 through 8, you know. The escape from the Daleks in episode 6, and then in episode 7, the Doctor being protective of his companions by checking the readings and not wanting to let them out because of the air pollution, only to find out that the TARDIS has landed on planet Earth. This has changed a little in later regenerations, with the Doctor just barreling out the door and come what may, unless the reading checks were done off-screen. Episode 8. The Doctor loves his cricket, even in this incarnation, by landing momentarily on a cricket patch with an ongoing match in progress. A nice surprise appearance by the meddling monk. Still no love lost between him, the Doctors, and his companions. The ending of this block, with the Daleks being sure of their upcoming conquest of the universe, is a good way to end it, and that the threat could be well within their reach. I'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly. And of course, don't forget you can send us feedback by going to our website, travelingthevortex.com, and filling out the Send Us Feedback tab, or send it directly to feedback@travelingthevortex.com, or on any form of social media. Just reach out to us and we'll read it out here on the podcast.
We should mention, for anybody that doesn't know, we're also individually on Twitter ourselves. You can find Keith at Vortex Keith. You can find Sean at Vortex Sean. You can find me at Vortex Glenn. If you want to send correspondence or chat with us on Twitter directly, you can do that as well.
Keith is EI, I am AU, and Glenn has 2 N's.
And we should also give a shout out to the Goodreads Book Club, which Holly is in charge of for us. So go on there and take part in the conversation of whatever book we're reading this month.
Whatever book is it?
I'm pulling it up now.
Uh-huh.
Doctor Who, Heroes and Monsters Collection.
I put you on the spot. I'm sorry, Keith.
I was heading there. And, of course, the poll for September is currently up.
Cool.
And as always, a big thank you to Holly and the other ladies for running that for us.
Yes.
Yes, again. Cool. Let's move on to our reviews.
Coronas of the Sun. The Doctor, Stephen, and Sarah escape Myra in a Dalek pursuit ship, but when they find the ship is returning to Kimball, they are forced to come up with a new plan to avoid the Daleks.
Bum, bum, bum.
For all of them?
No, this one gets a bum, bum, bum.
I was going to say, because we haven't really been doing...
Yeah, we haven't really been doing
it. Yeah. I just feel like we need some sort of synopsis.
This one,
that's fine.
This one in particular, I thought was a pretty good episode. Although the title is like there was no coronas, there was no sun. It had nothing to do with the rest of this episode. I don't understand that.
Really, other than Stephen, there was no feast in the Feast of Stephen either.
That's true.
Unless you're metaphorical about it.
Well, to be honest with you, I never saw a volcano on...
oh, yeah, there was.
Oh, no, there was no volcano on that planet. There was a lot of lava spewing around.
It was a volcano planet.
They were in a crater, but I never saw a volcano.
Okay, but it was a volcano planet. That one's more excusable.
So let's be fair. And if you believe the comic book that we're reading along with it, it was green lava instead of,
it's true. It's true.
red lava. So.
There's what you call poetic license.
I enjoyed this one too.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad in a way that I feel like I'm spinning my wheels just a little bit in regards to, well, I can't necessarily give it a review because nothing's happened yet. I mean, we do get, we escape the Daleks.
This one specifically is a bit more wheel spinny. And the next one,
which is odd because in a way, this is one of the better ones, just because of how, I mean, we're captured. We're just flat out captured. They've got us. And then we're not. It's a capture and escape, but we steal a Dalek ship?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to say, how else were we going to get off the planet?
That was cool. Well, Deus Ex Machina. This is Doctor Who. Anything could happen. But we stole the ship. All right, cool. And then we land on the planet. We have to bluff our way out of the Daleks, and
on the plot to
I think duplicating the time, the core, the Terranium core for the Time Destructor, I thought that was kind of cool. Is this? Yeah, this is the one where, I'm sorry, I watched this so long ago now. I'm trying to recap. This is the one where Steven suggests using the...
and goes ahead and does it and gets paralyzed and in the force field.
So he's going to charge it with gravitonium or
something like that.
Gravituvium or something. I don't know, whatever it was. Whatever made up word they came up with. And so they no, that's kind of old school. That, was proven to be dangerous. And then he goes ahead and does it anyway. And I thought... that seemed a little out of character for Steven, but that's kind of the MacGuffin for later, so I see why they went that route. But I think Steven, sometimes he does things I think, Steven's a smart guy, and then sometimes he does things that I think, that wasn't a real smart move, Steven. So I guess maybe this is really in his per diem.
And I always forget throughout, unless we're reminded in something like this, that he's from the future and is a pilot.
Yeah,
a spaceship
but
pilot.
He's not from this far in the future.
No, but he is from the future. I always think of him as more a modern day human.
Yeah,
1960s human.
Oh yeah.
So it's the fact that he's playing into those strengths more in this, even though he doesn't quite do. He does do the right thing, but does it stupidly. I really appreciated the fact that they're remembering the fact that he is a pilot, he is from the future, and playing those strengths up. It's kind of like the Perry botanist.
You mean the writers are remembering he's from the future? Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
That's just because he's not to the doctor. But
maybe we don't know, but maybe in his time the gravitonium is.
Well, we do know because the doctor says,
it's outdated now.
It's outdated.
Right.
They did that, but they learned that it's dangerous, and so they don't do it anymore. And Sarah's even going into that, too, that's foolish because that's kind of she equated it to Troy. She made a comment about
Troy, which I thought was treadmills.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. And I thought that's kind of weird that they specifically went to Troy having come from Troy, and I wondered if maybe that was maybe a little wink and a nod joke to the audience that hey, these guys just came from Troy. So,
well, it's also.
Wait, I have a question though. Did they use treadmills in Troy?
No,
we don't know. We haven't got to the myth makers yet. It's also kind of an interesting, just to maybe help justify it. This is the first companion that Steven's now technically playing second banana to, because with everybody else, he's been more advanced than the other companion with Vicky and with.
Vicky was.
Well, she was from the future as well, but
too.
I still get the impression that Steven was from further along. Maybe not, but. I don't know. I don't remember if they ever specifically said what era she was from.
Vicky and Steven stories we've watched.
The other one with the meddling monk.
Time Warner.
She seems
Meddler.
Time Meddler.
She seems more on top of things than he does in that one. But he's green to the TARDIS.
He's green, yeah.
The Chase. They're not together long before. It's just the last two episodes, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of. Obviously, they're in the Mythmakers together, but you guys haven't seen that, so surely there's another one in there.
Well, and then later he's in is it the War Machines or the?
Well, and when he's with Dodo, yes, I definitely think
that's the Chase.
That's the
end.
The Chase has the mechanoids in it.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah. That's the last story in that one.
Huh. No.
Yes.
Yes, the Chase has the mechanoids.
Chase has the mechanoids.
Because there was a reference to the mechanoids previously in this story.
What's the one with Barbara and
Chase?
Okay, but that's not Steven.
Yes, they pick him up.
They pick him up on the mechanoid
He's prisoner
planet
of the mechanoids.
at the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
I guess
Sorry.
Galaxy
You really
4,
haven't had much sleep, have you?
No, I haven't.
Galaxy 4
He
is
actually-
the other one.
That's the one where he plays two parts. He plays the
Because he's the rube on
he's
the... Okay,
the-
I'm not crazy. All right.
he's the bumpkin on the
Empire State Building.
Empire State Building, and
Yeah.
then they turn around and he's cast as Steven.
and then
they,
he stows away on the planet, on the
and
TARDIS.
he stows away.
But he's from a more advanced place than Ian and Barbara.
Oh, much more.
And-
This is sticking in my mind. I think he's from the 24th century, and this is the 25th century. I think was referenced at some point.
It's the year 4000 at some point in this.
Oh no, yeah, you're right.
Whenever he's from, he's more advanced than the previous companions until Sarah Kingdom comes on, and now she's from a time more advanced than him. So all of a sudden now he's on the receiving end of all this stuff as opposed to being the one explaining.
Or maybe it's 30th century and 40th century. I can't remember, but anyway. There's two consecutive numbers there when they're referring to it.
My point being that maybe that is what kind of helps justify the randomness of this decision is that, well, yeah, so, and he's going to go and do it anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It still feels a little out of character and out of place for me, for him. On the other hand, he does some foolish things in the Gunfighters. He does some foolish things in the Chase. So
Galaxy
I mean,
4 too.
yeah,
doesn't he?
Galaxy 4 even to. Oh, there's another one that they
That's
were
the other
together.
one.
Yeah, Galaxy 4. There's some things that he does a bit foolish and maybe a bit brasher, or thinks his idea is better than anybody else's, or not that he's being conceited, but that he's very headstrong. So he's going to do what needs to be done to help in the situation. And so I think maybe I can kind of it seemed a little. Well, the doctor doesn't think it's safe, but I'm going to do it anyway. Just that seemed a little odd to me.
Was it this block that he and the doctor seemed much more combative throughout the entire thing against each other?
I think just in those
Or is it
scenes,
just
because
over
then
all the story?
the doctor feels a little bad for him when he gets
Yeah.
because he ends up putting the force field around himself, but then the doctor ends up using him, which I think the first time that I listened to this, I thought, I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe it was because I was listening to it, even though I think you're kind of keyed in early enough that obviously he's got this force field around him. It's probably going to be used in a sense that Daleks aren't going to be able to hurt him.
Right.
I think it's a bit telegraphed, but I think the first time that I listened to it, that didn't quite come across, and I thought, this is weird. Why are you putting Steven's life in danger? But now even though he's using Steven, it's very clear, especially at the end or near the end of this, that the doctor really knew what he was doing. Although he did say it's a good thing he only shot you once.
Yeah. that was the gamble.
Yeah, that was the game.
That was the part where I went, like I was kind of sort of okay with it. Like you, I was like, why are you doing fluid link? Okay, yeah, that's just the first Doctor's thing. But
Doctor's a bit apologetic, though. I mean, which is a little unsurprising for this, or a little surprising and maybe a little uncharacteristic for this Doctor. Although he has softened by this point. I think a lot of that's thanks to Vicky. But
well, he even is almost dismissive when he gets the shock and is, he's like, oh, he's unconscious. He'll be all right. He's lying on the floor. Come on.
At the rate this story was going, I thought they had killed Steven, even though I knew he had went on past this. I've seen stories with him in it beyond this, but I don't know when he leaves. So,
But that being the delivery system for giving, and was this the first one that Spooner took over? Dennis Spooner took over.
Yes,
I believe so.
Okay, so
based an idea.
by Terry Nation
or Terrence Nation.
Terry
Nation.
God,
I'm tired.
You're getting there. The resolution works out. I mean, they've got to figure out a way to hand off this tranium to get them off their tail. I thought that it was a little interesting that the Daleks allowed Mavic Chin to talk them into playing along with it. I thought that was a little simplistic, but I was okay with that as well. And then just having the delivery, and then the shooting him, the Doctor saying, nope, I'm out of here, bye.
That's another element that I am appreciative of this one, because normally when we see the Daleks team up with somebody, we know that they're just, it doesn't matter if they're bringing you tea or not. We know they're going to turn on you eventually. And
Well,
they're just waiting.
They're always using you.
Yeah.
You just don't know it yet.
But in this one, Mavic Chen is fully aware that they're planning on turning on him, and he continues to find ways to prevent that from happening. And the Daleks treat him with this barely contained sense of, oh, you just wait. the one, it's not the Dalek Supreme, but the one black Dalek is very much, and it's weird because it's just standard Dalek dialogue. There's nothing really going on there. But to watch those two interplay with each other, you can tell there's all kinds of tension in the room. And the Daleks just, all right, you wait. It's coming. I'm going to gut you like a fish. And Mavic's like, you're going to try, but you're not going to make it. I find that dynamic is really interesting between the two of them.
I would agree.
And so much of it is not even said. It's just kind of there. So.
And some of that is the underplay of we know the Daleks so well.
Right. I guess maybe I'm retroactively applying that.
A little bit.
I think another thing moving forward, I think I find it odd that they sat down at the end of this episode and the doctor's warning them that the outside, it's dangerous, high levels of toxicity out there.
Poisonous.
Can't go outside, there's poison. And then only to turn around the next week and find out we've landed on Earth in the 1960s, modern day Earth.
66.
And they're in front of a police station. And then I sort of kind of put it together this week is, especially since the comic book that we're reading skips Feast of Stephen altogether, kind of put it together. And I wonder if maybe they originally had planned to take Christmas Day off and not air an episode, because Feast of Stephen is the one that aired on Christmas Day. And then decided later, well, maybe we should, but decided that, but we're right in the middle of this, multi-story arc. Are we going to do a Doctor Who that steps away, or are we going to do a Doctor Who that is part of this? And I think that they came up with the clever idea of making a fun Christmas light romp. But I was really appreciative of the fact that they keep the thread by saying, is the Terranium safe? Yes, it's over there. Or, the Daleks are still be coming after it. So they at least allude to that. So I appreciate it. But I wonder, because toxic air, and then after that, on the following episode, they land on, is it Maris? Is that the name of the planet? No, Maris was the one that got transmatted to. Whatever this one is. And
I can't remember what they called it.
Yeah, the volcano planet. The green lava planet. Anyway, I wonder if maybe that was the intention there when Spooner kind of wrote that. He was already writing ahead to, the levels will be toxic out there. But I can't remember. Do they even really explain?
They do.
Okay.
They give a drop line.
They say that the scanner was wonky.
Well, no, and he says something along that lines, and then the fact that the two of them are from such advanced times with much purer air that this would really affect them poorly.
That's right.
And then lets them leave the TARDIS later anyways.
That's right.
The scanner was wonky, is why he had to go outside.
But he didn't bother warning Stephen when they go back to the 1800s.
Right.
To the time of Doc Holliday and the Wyatt Earp. And,
Well, there was no pollution then.
Yeah, well... Apparently, Stephen was okay when they landed in '66.
So
1866 was fine.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this episode just being what it is?
Let's talk Feast of Stephen.
It's kind of lighthearted. It's kind of fun. It's really kind of feels like appropriate Doctor Who for Christmas 1966.
I think I would like it if they were moving pictures. As it is, I don't like, especially the Hollywood Hollywood set aspect of it, because there's so much chaos and I can't hear what's going on. Half the dialogue you can't understand because there's too much screaming in the background. And at first I thought it was just, whoever recorded this, there were screaming kids in the background or something. But then I listened closer, and that's actual. And what kind of movie studio lets their sets be like that? I don't care how much Laurel and Hardy business there is running around. There still wouldn't be that much chaos.
Say Chaplin was there, so it would have had to have been Warner Brothers or United Artists.
It was before, but yeah, I mean,
Well, but we don't know that was actually Chaplin. It could be
That's
somebody pretending to be Chaplin, because
Yeah.
I think there's another...
There's a Bing Crosby reference,
Yeah, there's
and
a
that's
big-
the only
well,
thing we have to
the
date
guy
with.
leaning against the TARDIS. Did you watch the animated version,
Yeah,
by the way?
yeah.
So you did. So the guy leaning against
That
the
didn't
TARDIS,
help it much.
he doesn't look like Bing Crosby at all, but
No.
he makes mention to it. So I think that was the idea. In fact, I think a lot more of the characters in the Hollywood movie set scene were supposed to be homages to Hollywood actors of the early days, the 1920s.
Was it actually Rudy
Yeah.
Valentino
20s.
that was
Exactly.
supposed to be the Sheik?
I think all of them were very much homages, but it's not readily said, with the exception of the dropping of the Bing Crosby line.
Right,
That,
and the Charlie line, because he talks about Chaplin also.
Oh, he does say that. Yeah,
the
you're
clown
right.
does.
So
I like the idea behind the movie theater part. I think it could have been a lot of fun. I'm glad it wasn't longer than just half of it.
yeah, there's a little bit too much running around and chaos in the background and filling. That's what I think happened is they probably came up with enough gags for to put in script, and a lot of the gags had to end up being sight gags beyond that. And I think it just ends up
And it
being
seemed
filler.
like some of the sight gags were even off-camera sight gags.
You think so?
Like the car crashing and stuff.
Oh yeah. Although they could have probably used stock footage of film.
Yeah,
from,
they might
from
have.
the
I mean,
1930s. So
it's hard telling.
yeah.
BBC did not afford a car. It was all off camera. I loved it. I thought this episode was fantastic. Like Keith, I was a little concerned initially because when we got to the Hollywood set, it was very loud and very chaotic. And I had that, what is going on here? And then it clicked that not only is this a comedy, it's a farce.
Yeah.
That it's a complete off the rails. We're not taking any of this seriously. Just go with us. It's Christmas. Okay.
Oh,
On the other hand,
I got that aspect of it too. I watched both the recon and the animation, and I just couldn't get through it, or I had trouble getting through it because I couldn't enjoy the comedy because I couldn't, understand what was happening.
There's a lot of screaming and there's a lot of yelling. And in most farce situations, that has a tendency to kind of be the default setting that this is how we're going to deliver the dialogue.
And I think they relied on a lot of slapstick humor because of the 1930s setting that they were doing, because a lot of comedy films in the 1930s were very
comedy.
visual. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
very visual and not a lot of dialogue. The interesting thing about it is, though, yes, I agree that it's a farce, but on the flip side, it still fits within the continuity up to a point, because it's all on a movie set. So you can do it and still say, well, maybe this is just kind of a screwball set. This was the chaos that broke out when everybody, is trying to get the next Douglas Fairbanks when they see Stephen, and they think that the doctor is this Arabic studies guy, that's there to verify the authenticity of the Chic set. So it kind of works.
It's
in
as
that
out of
sense,
place
yeah.
as the Halloween episode of the Chase with Frankenstein's castle.
Well, maybe more so.
It's oh, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe more so.
Well, I liked the fact that they actually went this extra step and did the silent film placards.
Yeah, now I was going to
between
ask
scenes.
because it's been so long since I watched the recon of this. In fact, I don't even think I got through the reconstruction of it, because that's when I ended up finding the animated and thought, well, this is a little better. Does the reconstruction do they have the placards as well? So the sad thing about this particular story is this, of all of the Doctor Who that's missing right now, this is the one will never be recovered. Because when they sent this particular story overseas for sales, they didn't send Feast of Stephen because they didn't think it would work, that nobody would buy it, because number one, it's Christmas heavy. So a lot of the markets in Africa and were they sending to Asia at that time? Yeah, they must have, because of Hong Kong. That wouldn't have been something that would have any of those countries would have cared about. The only option would have been to Australia, and I believe that they didn't even go to Australia with that one, but Australia completely turned this entire arc, I believe, down and didn't even show Daleks Master Plan because they thought it would be too much. So they didn't even run Daleks Master Plan in Australia, if I remember right. So this is the particular episode that was never made to be a film print, to be shipped overseas. So this one will never ever we'll never see this one ever again. So that's the sad thing.
That's a shame because I think I would enjoy it more if I could see it.
Yeah, if we could see it, it would certainly.
Because the first
be
half
better.
of it, I thoroughly enjoyed the bit with the police station and all of that was going on.
Although not a lot happens, but
No.
we get another capture and escape. So
Yes,
I will say this:
it was very entertaining capture and escape.
in regards to the animation for this one, if we were just talking about this as a story that happened to be animated, I would probably complain a little louder about how primitive and how poorly done it is. And I've certainly said that about some other ones, but knowing that it's a recon, or that it's an animation of a recon, and that it's one that for sure we will never see again.
And that it's fan done.
And that it's fan done.
This is completely amateur fan done. Yeah, off the shelf software.
I mean, with all due reverence to loose cannons and the people who work on the recons, I appreciate, especially the loose cannons, the fact that they have things we were discussing earlier, like taking a Dalek and actually kind of moving it across a background set in addition to the flashing lights, and doing some rudimentary, almost animation or computer animation pieces with it. I'm very appreciative that they put that level into it, because it does make them a little more engaging for me. But having a choice between a recon or even something as rudimentary animation as this, I'll take the animation all day, every day.
I'm the same way.
So I fall back on what I said last time. If somebody wants to tackle that project and use off-the-shelf software and animate everything that's missing, go for it. I will watch it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that 100%.
I mean, I'd rather have Cosgrove Hall, but I will take this in a pinch.
Ideally, I think that as good as we obviously haven't finished this, and maybe this is more discussion for next week, but as good as this story is, I think that the BBC and To Entertain would get their money worth of animating the missing episodes of these stories, and giving us something to look at. We've got at least 4 stories that are there, or is it 3 in this one? We got at least 3. That would be a lot of animating to do. But hey, look back, and they animated the entire Power of the Daleks, which was 6.
Right.
So you're doing nearly as many there with this story as well. So maybe just a few more.
If you include Mission to the Unknown, we're dealing with 12. Is it 12 or 13?
13 total.
So 10.
On the other hand, they may decide not to do Feast of Stephen but maybe not. I hope not. So anyway, moving along. Did you guys know that the meddling monk was going to show up?
Shock and disbelief.
So you didn't know?
I had no idea.
I remembered in the back of my... Once he showed up, I remembered, this must be the one where he comes back.
I couldn't remember if I had mentioned it so many years ago when we were talking about it, but
if you did, I didn't remember.
I knew you would remember. But
no, I didn't remember anything.
I had hoped.
I'm not even sure that I knew he came back. Quite honestly.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And same actor too, so
yeah,
that was pretty cool. And they have the little civil conversation between he and the doctor about how you doing. Pretty good. I see you escaped from your predicament. Yeah.
How's the tiny TARDIS?
Yeah. I thought that was neat.
Poor Sarah standing there confused the entire time.
Yeah. It was, and Steven say, "I'll explain it to you later." Do you know this guy? Yeah, I'll explain to you later.
How
is that the first instance of "I'll explain later"?
Could be.
It might be.
It could be.
What's nice about the story is while it advances the plot for the Daleks, it kind of spins the wheels a little bit for the TARDIS team. However, it does start some traction for what's coming up. And that's what I appreciated. Because obviously they leave things of, we haven't seen the last of him. And you definitely haven't. And especially not even just in the story.
I think what I like about this one, too, is this one's the one that starts out with them, the Daleks, recognizing that they don't have the right core.
Yeah.
And so what I like about that is after that opening setup, they go to our heroes who are being chased by somebody. And I think we automatically assume, the Daleks have already caught up with them. They just got the time machine, brought it there, and took off. But
Right.
they've already caught up with them.
You think they've taken off, but we
And
realize
so I
they
think
haven't
it's
actually.
the neat little reveal later that it's the meddling monk that was chasing them, that they kept seeing the blips on there. Which also, I think the sitting down on the cricket pitch.
Quick stops everywhere.
I thought that was hilarious. And the two guys in the play-by-play are just, I can imagine, because I've never watched cricket, and I've definitely never watched cricket from the 1960s, but I could completely imagine that that's exactly how a cricket match is commentated on by the sportscasters of those things, and to just stay in that mode as a mysterious police box materializes on the pitch. We have a few conversations about it, and then it dematerializes, and it's like everyday cricket. It's like that just happens every day. And these guys they're not surprised, they're not excited. It's just like happenstance. It's like,
That's just being British.
yeah, I absolutely love that about that scene.
Going back to what you said about the spinning of the wheels, when I was with the first episode, I felt like I was kind of spinning the wheels. This segment in particular, I feel
this part, you mean?
These three stories that we're reviewing today, I feel like we're spinning the wheels, but I don't mind that we're spinning the wheels, just because they've been so enjoyable. Because we've got the stealing of the ships, because we've got this farce in Hollywood, because we've got the TARDIS on the pitch. Just those kind of moments are like, yeah, all right, I'm kind of invested now. So you just kind of go ahead and do your thing, and I'll follow along. I know that you're really only giving me, what did you say, 4?
Yeah. I'll get to that next week.
I won't spoil it then, but I know you're only giving me so much story, and yeah, all right. I mean, I knew going into it.
You can see the padding when they land in Trafalgar Square and they're celebrating, and they don't even get out of the TARDIS.
Which is another interesting thing, because this probably would have been aired on New Year's Day. So it's a lot of people point to the fact that, Doctor Who did its first Christmas special in 1966 with Feast of Stephen, and it aired on Christmas. Well, likely this one aired on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. No, when did they New Year's Eve? No, would have been gone out New Year's Day. So this one went out New Year's Day, and they made a nod to the New Year's celebrations, which I thought was kind of cool as well. So
it was their first New Year's special as well.
Yeah, they've only had one other.
This one was arguably better.
Oh, well, this one was much better. And some listeners going, "What are they talking?" Oh, yeah,
they don't that one. But yeah, I mean, when you go into it going, it's a 13-part epic, it's like, is it really?
It's 13 parts. Is it an epic?
Well, I still think it's epic in scope. It may not be epic in story, in storytelling.
There is still some padding somewhere.
It's like that L. Ron Hubbard book.
Have you
that's
gone
like
ahead
10
then?
parts. It's
What's coming?
Yeah,
okay.
I've already finished, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm trying to get ahead for next week.
Yes.
We're halfway there anyway.
We are halfway there.
there.
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't want to try to cram
I'm going to be mainlining this stuff.
4 episodes in 2 days.
Oh, gosh, I've got garage sale for 2 days. I'm going to be mainlining.
Well, you'll be sitting there at your garage sale with your TV on.
Actually, that might not be a bad idea. Well, my computer, anyway. So... No, yeah, I know where you're going with that.
And somebody... I'm going to come over to your garage sale, and I'm going to flip out and go, do you have Lost Doctor Who's for sale at this garage sale? I found them!
Okay.
It'll be funny.
Anyway, so... anything else on this story? Meddling Monk shows up.
It's great to have him back.
Doctor actually uses a signet ring for a really good purpose there. Refract the sun's light into the lock to melt the mechanism that the meddling monk put in there.
I thought the plot, the meddling monks, I'm going to get back at the Doctor. I'm going to melt his lock. Really? That's how you're going to get back at him? All right.
Well, it's almost
especially considering how easy it's fixed.
Well, that's true. But I don't think the monk expected that. And even his reaction,
I guess it just shows the incompetence of the monk.
Well, I don't even think it's that much. I think it's because the Doctors... It's like a friendly rivalry. It's not like the Master, where I think that the Doctor feels that the Master is the Doctor feels that the Master, is a bad guy, and life is in jeopardy when the Master's around. When the Monk's around, the Monk, obviously, from the meddling Monk, Time Meddler, is, he's in it for self-gain. I don't think he's necessarily out to maliciously hurt anybody, but people get, hurt in the process. Not dangerously hurt, but, things get hurt. It's almost like murder versus, downloading DVDs. There's two different perspectives on personal crime there. And I think that the Doctor realizes that. And I think that feeling's mutual, that I don't think the Monk wants to. I mean, it's good natured. No, it's not good natured. It's mildly harmful
pranking.
And I don't even know if it's pranking. I mean, I think
even still, it's not a very good prank.
I think the Monk wanted revenge, and so the best he could do was, because obviously the door was locked, the Monk wasn't going to be able to get into the TARDIS.
That's true.
The best he could do in that situation to strand the Doctor, as the Doctor had just done to him. He's looking for revenge.
I forgot that he couldn't get in.
Yeah. So he basically he must put a compound in the lock. We keep saying he melted the lock. He didn't. He put a compound in there that they couldn't put the key in. That's why the Doctor had to reflect the energy from the sun into it in order to melt that, and then
I think the difference is,
that, I think is what he says.
The maliciousness of it.
Yeah,
the entire plan in the first episode, the Monk he's like you said, he's out for personal gain. It's not out to, I'm not out to kill billions of people,
right,
or conquer the world.
I'm not out to conquer the world. I'm not teaming up with the Daleks. I just want to make some money,
right?
And okay, well, you're doing it because you're manipulating time, and that's bad. And you can't change history, not one line, unless you're this guy, in which case you can. But okay, we're going to set that right. And then kind of jokingly still leave you here with the atomic cannon up on the hill that I'm still upset about. But all right. And so now it's kind of back to that, oh, I remember you. You're the one that gave me a wedgie in class.
Right,
well,
exactly.
I'm gonna do this. And, so it very much feels like that frat boy kind of
it definitely
rivalry.
does.
And I sort of like that. That tends to tilt a little bit in the next. Well, no, not necessarily. It's still almost that way.
And Doctor's better at it.
Spoilers.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Doctor's much better. Spoilers.
This one illustrates to me, though,
of course,
how much
locked doors make a difference.
Very much so.
It illustrates to me how unfortunate we are that there aren't more Monk stories, because I feel like this is one of those that if you wanted to bring him back once a Doctor, I would have been on board with that. Going, oh, all right, and it would have just been a fun.
Oh no, I totally agree. Yeah, that would have been fun, even if it was a different actor, because after we established that the Doctor could change faces, why not have the Monk change faces?
Yeah,
which obviously that's what Big Finish has done.
Yeah, because they have a different actor playing. Well, because what is it? Peter Butterfield? Is that the guy's?
Yeah, Butterworth.
Peter Butterworth. Obviously had passed, I think, by the time Big Finish tried to do their story. So
that seems right.
Very good. Anything else about this particular arc that or this part of our master plan?
I find the comics, what they're cutting out, pretty interesting. It was most noticeable in this story when they cut out all the other stops.
Yes. Well,
there's no cricket. There's no Trafalgar Square.
I think that's the thing.
They go straight to Volcano.
They cut Feast of Stephen out because they knew they didn't need it, because there's really no gain for their telling of the story. And so I think in that same vein, they realized in this particular book they didn't need that.
And when you only want to have so many pages anyways, I mean, that's the fluff to cut.
Yeah.
And
Still enjoying the cliff notes of the comic book, though. I think that it really helps, especially when you're on a string of this one. If we hadn't done the animation, this would have been the dry stretch of this is all recreation. This is all reconstruction. In fact, if you count animation, it is still reconstruction. So we don't get another moving one for a few yet. So, which I think, Sean, what's coming up on the schedule?
Well, coming up on the schedule is part 4 of the Daleks Master Plan. We will, for us, it's part 4. We will actually be doing
our master plan. Yeah,
part 4 of our master plan. We'll actually be doing of their master plan 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we're going to do 4 episodes next week or later this week to finish it off. The Golden Death, which, again, Loose Cannon's reconstruction. Escape Switch, which is an actual surviving episode, which can be found on the Lost in Time box set. The Abandoned Planet, back to Loose Cannon, and Destruction of Time, back to Loose Cannon, which, I don't know, Destruction of Time kind of sounds like maybe they telegraphed the ending. I guess we'll find out. I know the show continues, so maybe not.
Cool.
And then we'll be finishing off the comic book as well.
All right, very good. Anything else we need to add this time before we move on? Or close this show, I suppose.
I don't think so.
If that's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.